3, 2, we are live.
This is 2OF Entertainment.
Joe, do you want to know why some businesses succeed and some businesses fail? Why some businesses grow and some businesses don't? That's what this show is all about. Business, business, business. All right, we are back.
Right,
welcome back, Mr. John.
All right. John's back.
How was hunting Nazi gold?
Look, let's not get into that because, what's going on in the world, is pretty nasty. What's going on.
Okay, well, we have a whole list of things going on in the world, so that's easy to do.
We're in our own little bubble here, John. The Lost Dollar Business Club bubble.
Yeah,
it's like Shangri-La, but better.
Yeah.
So before we get started, we have a sponsor other than Bendicoot. We have a sponsor called Soundpeats. Soundpeats here, I don't have my green screen on, is a headset, is a wireless headset. It's very cool. You can buy these on Amazon, Soundpeats, and this is what they look like. And I've given them to people this week to use. And the really cool thing is this case is magnetic. So when you pull out your little things, unlike Apple, they magnetically do. And I will say that I have used them as well, and they are just as good or better than the Apple iPads or iBuds. So once again, Soundpeats, you can find them on Amazon.com. We'll put the link below. They're a new sponsor, if you will. So feel free to use them. Tell them we sent you. You'll get no discount, but tell them anyway.
How come I didn't get a package, Steve?
You just got back, John.
I just got back, John. If you need a package, I'm sure we can get you a package. I didn't know that you would want one, John. But if you need me to get you a package, John, you let me know, and I will get you a package because this is how I feel about you.
Oh, there you go. High tech.
High tech. John. John's like, oh God.
So you learn to play with the buttons, okay?
Hey,
that's
now
right.
and now that I've done our commercial for those nice people at Soundpeats, once again here, I'm going to go back to my my whatchamacallit screen, my green screen, because next week we'll actually have this wall completed, and I won't have to worry about the stuff that's back there, which will be nothing. So there you go. So that would be
better than nothing, Stephen. Yeah. Better than nothing.
There you go. So we have that. So John's back. Michael's here. David's on holiday. He's traveling around the world, or for him, he's just riding a bike across the street in Amsterdam. So that's a big journey for him. Nick is in South Africa. Apparently, they couldn't get the gerbil up to give us power today.
Yeah, so, the power didn't. Yeah,
the power didn't work.
So, yes.
Before we get into the show, we'll do a Bendicoot commercial because they're another sponsor. But what are we talking about today?
We always like to talk about AI, but let's talk about AI in education.
Okay.
And how AI is influencing education from kindergarten to middle school to high school to college.
Okay.
And we'll touch on a lot of different articles. I'll bring those up during the show. But basically, AI is here to stay, and we've got to figure out what to do with it.
Oh, this would be a great show. I can't wait for this. All right, kids, here's the commercial, and then we'll be back in, how long is this commercial? 30 seconds. We'll be back in 32 seconds, so don't go anywhere, and then we'll start the show.
Get the freedom and the flexibility of remote work in the lucrative tech industry. Bend your life around the world. Bendicoot is the premier course and community for thriving in a remote tech career. Join the revolution today. Bendicoot.com, official partner of the Lost Dollar Business Club.
And we are here. Okay.
All right, Lost Dollarites.
Lost Dollarites. I like that. There you go. Join the fan club. Okay, there you go.
Right. Yeah, there's gotta be a fan club. You get a ring.
You get a ring.
You got a seal, and
wow! I'm going to join the fan club. So, and then we're going to all the things you and I, Michael talked and I in the green room. I have 4 or 5 things for Lost and Found today, which are really quick. They're all losses, so but it'll be very interesting.
Losses. All right,
they're all losses, but it'll be interesting to see what everybody's reaction is. But let's get on
Well,
the AI
what's your
topics.
reaction? What's your reaction to this, guys? There's an AI writing detection tool, which
Right.
they're not great as they are, but it's called Turnitin. Turnitin,
Yeah.
and they've been detecting AI. They've been using AI in their own way to detect AI for
Right.
over a year, and they say that they've reviewed more than 200 million papers among high school and college students. 200 million
Right.
papers,
Wow.
and maybe as high as 20% of those have AI content, and maybe 3% have 80% or more AI writing. So we're talking
Okay.
about 22 million papers that have used generative AI in the past year out of the 200 million. That's actually kind of low, I would think,
Yeah.
because I would think people would be using it a lot more, or maybe it's not detecting it.
Here, I have to think about this. When we all went to school, when you had to write a paper, really,
Yes.
it was all your original thought. You didn't use, well, in my day, the Encyclopedia Britannica or copy something from a book. This is the same crap.
Or
At the end of
rehash
the
it.
day,
You
I'll
had to
reha-
reinterpret it. You had to
Yeah.
rehash
to a point, yeah, you took out the, it, and an and, didn't put in a comma. It's the same crap. But with AI, you at least have to come up with a thought to a point where you have to say, write me a story about Moby Dick. Now,
right.
the teachers are lazy. I mean, some aren't, but for the most part, they're lazy like everybody else. They don't want to read the crap. So now they're
Well,
using stuff that's going to AI detectors to say, basically, read it. Oh, tell me what I should grade it. Oh, by the way, if there's AI involved, let me know. No, read it. I remember our teachers used to read our papers.
well, plays well into another story, just to add to what you're talking about, where
Okay.
it's a single professor, but I'm sure they're not the only one. A single professor at Ithaca College is
Ithaca.
actually running each student's essay through ChatGPT
Right.
to ask the tool to critique and suggest how to improve the work. So the idea
Why
of
do I need
professors
him?
using AI to grade essays is not unusual.
Right, but why do I need him then? Why am I
Yeah.
paying you?
Right.
If I'm at
Well,
the
this is the
university,
problem. The
why am I
students, if the
paying
students
you?
are writing it and
Yeah,
professors are grading it using AI, what are we doing here?
yeah.
Yeah. We're just getting
We're
dumber and
yeah,
depending on a machine that feeds itself on stuff that we create or people, let's call it humanity created
Yes.
to, to create content, to respond to things. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think it's the whole AI, is a movement that's, it technically it's supposed to benefit us, but I think the negatives are overwhelming in many ways because yeah, okay, the whole idea that it improves productivity and all of this business
right.
is we don't need more improvement in productivity. We've got what, 9 billion people on the planet.
We have 8 billion people. Half of those were using child labor in Cambodia and China, so we're good with the labor. I got it. Okay.
So and then you get people that can't think. They already can't thinking. They're not
I'm
thinking.
talking about Congress. You
We're
mean the
talking about
senators,
everybody.
Congress? Talking about
Yeah,
politicians? Those people? Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. Forget politicians. Well, they're in the monkey range. Decades ago. So that, you know,
If I may, and I agree with what you're saying,
You
the
may,
problem
Stephen.
AI is a wonderful thing if it's used properly. And we invest in
Yeah.
AI startups. And so we're going to be trillionaires. And we really don't give a shit about the rest of you. You're all going to die because we're with the Illuminati and the lizard people. So
We
we're good
know
with
that.
that because we don't care. I will say that when iPads and laptops were allowed into schools, like cell phones for schools, the kids, and I don't care if you were in first grade or you were getting your PhD, became dumber. And they become dumber because they let all of this technology do their work. And I think there's something to be said. And I know everyone's going to comment to me, oh, this old guy. Yeah, but this old guy has got a couple good degrees and has done a lot. So he may know what he's talking about. Um, I think that when you had to go to a library and you actually had to research something and you had to take the time to read something and learn something is much different than today, excuse me, than where all you do is I go into whether it's ChatGPT or I go hey Siri, or I do whatever I need to do. No, Siri, I was just kidding. When I do that, it finds it for me. I don't really think anymore. I don't
Yeah.
say, I want to write a story about, and I'm going to pick on you a little bit, John, because you weren't here. John's hunting for Nazi gold, and there's 50 books on it. So all I do now is I type it into Google, and it gives me everything I need to know about John. I can take that, put it into ChatGPT. It's written me my story for my teacher, Michael. I'm done. Back in the day, you would go to the library, you would research it. You knew what the Dewey Decimal System is, which they don't today, which,
Yeah.
antiquated, I get it. But you actually had to think. There was a
Well,
process.
you had to process the information
Right.
yourself
But
instead
now
of being.
you don't. Now it's just you
Well,
just throw shit out there, and it's even lawyers are doing it. They have AI in law firms now writing briefs. I'm not paying you
not very good
$600.
briefs, by the way.
Right, that's true.
Not very good briefs.
Right.
But I'm not paying you $600 from Hal from 2001 to write the brief.
No.
Right? You better write it. If Hal's doing it, I can have Hal write my own brief and give it to you to critique, and you can charge me a human reading it.
Well,
this is the problem.
Let's go back. I want to go back to this idea of screen time, screens in the classroom.
Okay.
There was a social psychologist, Jonathan Haidt, who Haidt, and he was featured on. He wrote a book called "The Righteous Mind: Why Good People Are Divided by Religion and Politics." But he then wrote the next book on the coddling of the American mind: how good intentions and bad ideas are setting up a generation for failure.
We should get him on the show.
We should get him on the show because he talked about another social concept around the anxious generation, how the screens and actually the front-facing cameras on smartphones actually have correlated to the cause of the epidemic of mental illness among young people.
Really?
And he makes a very strong case for this. And the simple idea is, would you let students watch television while they're sitting in the classroom? Then why, if you don't let them do that, why would you let them have a smartphone?
Yeah.
And it's a very simple premise, which I think goes very far to your point, which is, why do we let them be totally distracted by these engineered distraction machines while they're supposed to be thinking and learning how to think?
And they're not doing any of that. The kids of today are dumb. I mean, and John, we have a short that got a lot of views that you said Dumb and Dumber or something, or whatever you said on the short. And we put it out there just to see what would happen. It got a couple thousand views as a short, but John said, no, people are just getting dumber. And he had this little 20-second rant. And it's true. People are getting dumber because they don't read. Like when I tell somebody I read a book, they look at me like I have 3 heads and I raped a cow. And I'm I read a book. I like reading books. I like to learn. I like to know. And people are like, I like my Kindle. There's that's nice. Or my iPhone, that's nice.
You can't journal in it.
I can't write. I can't make notes on any of it. I can't put it on a bookshelf and I go back to it a year or 2 or 10 later because I have storage. It's called bookshelves, right? At some point, my Kindle, my iPhone, my laptop runs out of storage. And so you can't store
it's everything. A digital thing that you have to carry around. I mean,
correct. I'm dumbfounded of the stupidity of the parents as well. It's a good thing I have the kids. Yeah, well, the parent. If I had a child, it's a good thing. As far as I know, I don't have any, but I do get a lot of Father's Day cards from Vietnam every year. So thanks, kids. But what's interesting is we were talking about this on one of the other shows. I was at a restaurant the other night, and there was a 3-year-old with an iPad, and that's how mommy and daddy made sure the kid, didn't misbehave. And I'm thinking, when I was that age, or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, if I went to a restaurant, I had to be a young man and sit there and behave, or if not, you got to smack. And I think that, and I'm okay with
now
that.
Now they report you for abuse if you do that.
Good, take the kid. If I had, that's what I'm saying. It's a good thing I don't have children, because literally, if my kid acted up, give him a smack, and they don't act up. I don't want to be your friend, Johnny or Sally. I'm your parent. I'm going to teach you. Like, when I see these kids,
and prepare you for the world,
life, for the real world, not this fakakta make-believe crap. So these kids that come from these poorer backgrounds that don't have phones, that have to really apply themselves, or the kids from countries that are in the same situation, kudos to them, because they really try to learn. I think the kids today that are given, here's your iPad, here's your phone, here's your this, they're like, oh, it's just going to come easy for me. At some point, it may not. And there's a real world out there. Now, granted, the world's becoming a bunch of pussies. You can't say this, you'll hurt their feelings. You can't do this, you'll hurt their feelings. Everybody's got to have an indented. No. We've got to get away from all this political correctness crap. It's not helping the planet. It seems we were talking before the show, the world's getting worse, not better. And I don't think AI has anything to do with it.
Yeah, generationally, future generations are looking worse off than their parents' generations. That's true. That's very true.
Well, look, I think it all began, this whole thing that we're talking about started with this concept of let's make life easier. The concept of easy has sort of permeated everything. I don't want to walk outside to go and get some food.
Right.
I'll have it delivered. I won't cook it. I will order it and pay for it.
Right.
Eat and eat shitty food, by the way.
Right.
And so it's easy. It's always this easy thing. So then it's easier for mom and dad to not engage with their child and discipline them and have some kind of conflict. Let's just give them something. It used to be a lollipop. Now it's an iPhone or an iPad.
Right.
And then
which are like digital cocaine.
Yeah.
Equivalent.
The parents feel guilty because both of them work. So when the boy or the little girl says, I want, okay, you give it to them.
Yeah.
There's no, it's all it's all
China,
this easy, and this, back to AI, it's just easy. You just type a few things.
But not everybody is using it just for the easy. Okay, so I'm not going to challenge you on the easy culture, because you're right. I think easy culture is part of the problem. The idea that everything should be easy, and the reality is, if everything's easy, then you have no resilience, no grit, no ability to do what is hard. And the reality is most real things are actually hard.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, AI and tools like this, aren't they being used by, or can't they be used by people to do the right thing? For example, there's a middle school that's working with Stanford University to use AI to be a teaching assistant for a coding class. Now, it's very easy. It's easier to use AI to help teach coding, you would think, because it knows how to code and it can give you guidance on that. It's very technical. But the point is, they're able to expand how many students they can teach coding because they have AI supporting the actual teacher.
Now, wait. Here's what's interesting.
If I may interrupt.
Go ahead, John. Go.
You're absolutely right. AI, used correctly, and if it learns correctly, it's a wonderful tool. Call me pessimistic.
Pessimistic.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, no.
It's hard to believe, John.
Call me realistic. But we always know that the minority, whether it's in any conflict, is far more vocal, far more violent, and they always win. So the problem that we have is that the bad actors overwhelm the system and destroy the goodness of whatever it is that you have.
But wait, on this coding thing, let me just say the Nivea CEO, I don't know his name, so I'm not going to make fun of him. But he said in an interview, why learn coding? And he says in 5 years, AI will be coding. So it's nice that they want to teach kids a dying art. It's kind of like saying, I'm going to teach you how to be the guy who lights the in the 18th century, how to light the candles on the street lights, and the guy who puts it out. And he said, coding will be obsolete in 5 years. He said, because you'll tell AI what to do and it will do it. So it's nice that they want to teach it, but it seems like this guy's looking at AI to go to that next level, which a lot of people are. So I think if I'm going to say to somebody, I'm going to help you, I think what I would teach them in AI, like I know we have stuff in the medical field where AI can help big diagnosis. They're smarter than most doctors and they're doing stuff. So I like that. But like, I think if I was going to tell somebody what to do in AI and teach them in AI, what I would teach them, even in school, how to speak to it. Because what we've learned, and we use it on the show, and we tell everybody, like, we sit here and look pretty, and AI writes everything and does our short. We don't do anything. Like AI does it all. If you don't ask it the right question and learn how to speak to it, it doesn't give you what you want. You're like, well, that's wrong. Well, it's wrong because you didn't say, could you do this, not that. So that would be what I would start teaching people. But also, to our point much earlier, I still think you need to teach children, or let me rephrase it. When you're educating someone from K to 12, I still think you need to teach them to think. And I think giving them these tools where to John's point, it's going to be easy society is very bad because I don't think you teach them to think.
What about the Socratic teaching for AI? There's actually it's powered by Google's AI, but they're using
Communists.
the Socratic method of challenging your students through questions to actually figure it out for themselves instead of just giving the answer. I mean, there are people who are coming up with the idea who agree with you that we need to teach people how to think. We need to teach young people especially how to think. What's that?
You mean it's called a teacher?
A teacher
asks me questions. Once again, I'm not belittling teachers because back in my day, the teachers were great. I know they were underpaid. I know today they're treated like crap and kids pit them and it's ridiculous bullshit. But
they're even more underpaid now, I think.
Right. But you want to know something? If you're telling me as a teacher, I use it, then you know what? I don't need you. There's no reason to get a certificate to become a teacher, get another job. And if all we're going to do is have robots teach the kids, because that's really what you're saying is AI is going to ask you questions. That's called a teacher. It's called interaction. Until in 2001.
Think about the schools where you don't have the luxury of a good ratio of teacher to students. There are plenty of schools where there aren't enough teachers. There are 20, 30 person student classes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Let's be careful with AI becoming the teacher.
Yes, right? I agree.
He who controls AI controls the minds of generations of people.
No, the world. Not even a generation, world, John. The world. If you control AI,
remember how AI learns. Everything that you put into Chat GPT is teaching Chat GPT, and everybody in the world is doing that right now.
Right.
Yes,
and feeding it content that it's learning from for free. Yeah. And who knows what it's going to do with that in the long run?
Now, imagine this. Humans are doing this, but there's always some little bastard out there that's going to say, "Hey, let's get our own little AI and start feeding it shit, feeding ChatGPT stuff." We'll have a war of AIs going on, and the next thing you know, we just got crap. Absolute.
I agree.
Gibberish.
That's right.
That was my AI, by the way.
Propaganda
But John, that's the problem.
Yeah,
people don't think, and the fact that you're saying and Michael's saying, "Oh, there's a teacher that's using this, and there's a teacher that's doing." Stop with this ridiculous crap already. And if you want to teach kids about AI, my opinion, and I'm sure everyone thinks I'm just a 10 million-year-old guy who doesn't know what I'm talking about. When you get to high school, 9th grade, 10th grade, that junior, senior, maybe even 11th grade, after you've had time to actually learn, and they don't teach you shit anyway, but let's assume that you get a teacher who actually teaches you something from K to 9 or K to 10, and you actually learn and you have a mind and you can start developing a thought that means something, not like, then teach kids about AI. Then let them use their iPhone. Then let them use an iPad. Then let them on a laptop. But
that's
in
what
China,
Jonathan Haidt says.
Right. And here's the other thing:
don't let them use smartphones until they're past their teenage years.
I agree. And China, because John's favorite country, you can't. If you're under 16, you're only allowed to be on any electronic device for only 2 hours a day.
Yeah, but
I like that.
Point, I wanted to, the point though. I forgot my thought now.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll go back to China and the 2-hour screen time mandate. Which who's enforcing that one, Stephen? Come on.
Yeah, you see, when you're a communist, authoritarian regime, and you own the system, I could tell you, hey, look, you're gonna think that Steve is a good-looking girl, and you will accept that.
Thank you.
If you don't do that, we're sending you to the west part of the country,
Correct.
and we're gonna put in some hard labor, and
we're gonna re-educate. It's called re-education, John.
Yeah, and we're gonna get re-education via AI. It'll be easy.
Yeah.
And John, I think what happens is when you're a person under 16 or 16 or under in China, when you get your phone, it asks you, the usual questions. Are you a member of the Communist Party? Do you love Mao? Is Deng Xiaoping, what it goes through this list? Do you believe in pandas? And I think it also says, what's your age? So I think that's how they know. And I think the system turns it off.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe. I mean, that's very
Yeah.
possible. That's
I
very
think the
possible.
system is like, you're done.
just
I don't
says,
think it's a
Block it
person
out.
thing.
Yeah. Right.
remember that the biggest surveillance system in the world is in China.
That's right.
I mean, you go to, if you've been a bad boy, we can say, look, you're not going to visit your parents out in the
Right,
middle of the
social score.
country when
Yeah.
the New Year comes. You go with your phone to the turnstile there to get on your train. Ah, no, I'm sorry.
Right.
Go back to
That's
your
right.
to your hole, and you're going to work this holiday season. Yeah. So
Well, you can't. It's amazing to have politicians in the West extol the so-called virtues of authoritarian China, but
yeah,
Well,
it's
that's because
crazy.
they're getting
It's
ready for
happened.
Trump.
yeah,
They're getting
yeah.
ready for Trump. They're getting ready for Trump because when Trump comes, that's what you're going to have. You'll have a
Well, we've
dictatorship here. Does the
what I
same thing.
would like is, maybe, if we can develop something that's good, an AI political system, because we can get rid of all these fuckers,
That would be awesome. That'd be
you-
That
great.
would be awesome. That would
That'd
be
be
awesome.
great. But here's the
right? I
funny thing.
mean,
I'm
we could,
okay with an AI overlord,
yeah,
but I think,
It's good.
but if it's good, so my AI overlord, if I had my druthers and my fantasy overlord, which we're developing here at the Illuminati,
Anyway,
so
that's
you're
right.
welcome,
Yeah.
is that everybody is almost equal. I don't care if you're a trillionaire, billionaire. I don't care about your financial, but everybody has housing, everybody has medical, everybody has food.
The basics.
And if you just happen to make more money because you came up with something, that means you can move to a bigger home, buy if you want 10 car. I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, there's a level playing field. So there'll be no poverty, no hunger. And if there's no poverty or hunger, and there's no reason for someone to say, I have to go out and whether it's sell drugs or rob or whatever
Yeah.
to supply, like feed my family, then I would think then you get to this Shangri-La. And I know that's a utopia thought, but at the end of the day,
but that's a fair thought.
that to me, if I'm going to have AI take over the world, and
That's
like I
what you
said, we're
want to
working
do.
on that, I'm good with that because I don't want to read in the paper that there's famine here,
Or
there's
this
a
guy
war here,
got murdered for a
for
mugging.
stupid stuff. Right. I just want to be like, oh, okay. And if AI says, listen, so and so isn't quite right in the head, we want them to go to this place, a hospital or whatever, and we're going to try to make him better. And if not, we will take care of him here. Then as long as the guidelines are that they're really schizophrenic or psycho or crazy,
Which we have laws for that already.
right? But we don't do anything about them, and we
Right.
let people out. So if we can treat everybody humanely, then that's the AI that I'd be like, okay, I'm good with that. The problem
This
is though, at
more
some point, does AI get
philanthropic than I've ever
corrupt?
heard you, Stephen.
yeah.
It's because
AI gets corrupted. The people
yeah,
that
if AI
control
gets
it.
corrupted, then
Well,
forget it. Then it's like you're going to be living in a
I sent you that
dictatorship.
video about about the billionaire classes. It's really a fight. The fight in AI.
Yeah,
If you look at it one way, is really a fight among billionaires who want to own artificial general intelligence.
and you're welcome.
Because the biggest companies in the world are the only ones who are able to play on that playing field.
Not true. We are investing in little AI startups that are in a few years will overtake, unless the big guys are going to write big checks, are going to overtake. These big guys, from what we can see, are stupid. And I mean that with all the disrespect there is. Because they think they own everything and they know everything, there's this low-hanging fruit of AI companies that are light years ahead with tons of patents, with this and other things that are going on that make, you can name any of them. Like they have no clue of what the next 10 years look. And a lot of them are getting quietly deals, funding and whatever from mega. And when they come out and go, here we are, the Googles, the Microsofts, Elon's jerk me off company, they're all going to be like, oh my God, like they fell asleep at the wheel because they're all complacent because they're all like, look at me. We're $1 billion or $1 trillion company. Nobody's going to challenge us. We see 20, 30 decks a day. And out of that, I would say there's 1 or 2 a day that we're like, we need to have a call with because
Okay.
they've got it. And we've got people that will look at their patents, look at their tech and go, holy, like, like
So
this is the real shit.
aren't those guys going to be acquired just like those small guys
Yeah.
going to be acquired just like every other
No, they don't
challenger
want to
to
be.
these
They've made
companies?
it. They've made it very clear that this is the FU. And they, as one of them told me, they've approached all the big companies and they said, now screw you. And like one guy said to me, he said, by the time they can acquire us, we'll be equal or worth more than they will. And a lot of
Okay.
these bigger companies like the Googles and everything else, I think, and all these other AI companies are like, look at us pounding their chest, are going to be shocked that they're going to have to be in partnerships with these companies today that no one's heard of because they hold all the cards.
Well, that would actually be more in line with the traditional history of technology and
Right.
digital technology and computers.
Right.
It's almost like the days of when Apple was a scrappy startup against IBM.
Yep.
And now you have all these AI startups that are scrappy, that are
Yep.
going against the AI giants. It'd
Yep.
be great to see that kind of battle play out.
I see this stuff every day, and I get to see their alpha tests and their beta and their MVPs, and we get to talk to
let's hope that
everybody. It's great.
because Google started. We're going to be a good company. We're going to do good.
Don't be
they became,
evil. Don't be evil.
Don't be
Right.
evil. Thank you. Yes. And now they are evil.
Hey, remember,
And my
they're our
point is,
overlord here on
when
on
it comes to
YouTube.
AI, their
That's
AI
right. That's right.
engine,
Yeah.
when it was a month ago, you could go into the Google AI and say, show me, examples of, people from Great Britain.
Right.
Okay. Now, there weren't any black people. All of a sudden, black people appeared. Right?
Are there black people in Great Britain?
They weren't in the 1700s, 1500s.
Okay, I was just going to say because as far as I know, there were.
Produced a whole bunch of people that were
No, it's like when and Google's CEO was quick to say this is a mistake, even though a lot of programming went into that.
Yeah,
and a lot of training went into that.
And I know that there is no such thing as a mistake when you put out a product that you got 1,000 engineers and you're testing it and you do all this stuff.
And one of them is black. Let's assume one of them is black. Out of 1,000 engineers, there's got to be one black guy,
or there's no black
or an Indian, somebody.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
They're all, no. So it's all by design. So it goes to my point there. You got to be very careful about who controls this shit.
Controls the AI.
I agree with that.
I agree.
But here's what's bad now. When I talk to some of these startups, and like they've got some pretty smart people that work, whether they used to be ex-government, current government, we're not really sure. They've had exits. They're not stupid. None of these people are. And when you talk to them, it's kind of like, what do you want your AI to be other than you want to become the next trillionaire? And a lot of them are like, we want to help humanity. And then there's this pause, but then it's like that little smile that says, but then again, if we become billionaires and trillionaires while we're doing it, it's okay. So always remember, power corrupts and creates power. So a little AI startup today that none of us have heard of, well, we've heard of, that the public hears of in 3 to 6 months to a year, power will corrupt power. Because all of a sudden, if your AI company goes from, we're a scrappy company, we just raised $1 million or 3 or 5 or 10, and then all of a sudden your valuation is $1 billion. And then all of a sudden now it's like, oh, I'm competing with the big boys. And then you go from $1 billion, just say, to $1 trillion, and you're going to be like, look at us. And remember, these AI companies, they don't need 1,000 programming software guys like a Google or an Apple. Right? Like one guy told me, he goes, when they're fully operational, they need maybe 50 people, all in, including engineers and whatever, because the AI will help them go, and this will help. And it's like interesting. So a lot of these behemoths, and I'm going to go back decades, like when Ford and General Motors and all these had like thousands, hundreds of thousands of people at the plants, right? And then somebody went to Japan and they saw a little robot go boop, 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 boop. And they're like, oh, I have an idea. A lot of these people, as the Nivea CEO said, that are coding, their jobs are obsolete, let's say by 2030. So
which might be convenient because you've got independent Senator Bernie Sanders from Vermont pushing for
the
4-day
week.
4-day work week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bernie's pushing.
Now,
Let me rephrase it. Bernie's
I
100
just
years
want to
old. He's
say,
really pushing for like a 2-day work week.
Oh no.
going a little bit away from AI,
Yeah.
the whole, sort of education, piece in Baltimore, right,
Yeah.
which is a basket case, and
Yeah.
it's run. We know who runs those towns,
Right.
and cities. I think it's something like 80% of them, the students, are basically illiterate. They can't read.
Wow. That's
Literate,
pathetic.
and the same thing in Chicago, right? They did a bunch
Yeah,
of
you're right. I'm just fact checking you because to give you
yeah,
the actual numbers, it
Right.
actually it's dismal.
yeah,
Uh, only 10% of fourth graders in Baltimore's public schools are proficient in reading.
yeah.
My
So
And
point is why we
90%.
need AI for
yeah,
teachers.
yeah, because
Bullshit. You need a real
but no,
teacher to teach these kids.
no, it's not well, it's partly the teachers, but partly the pressure of I don't know where the pressure is coming to
Mm.
pass these kids
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put
in
them
the
up.
next grade. No,
Yeah.
if you
Yep.
don't pass,
You don't pass.
you
You
don't
don't
pass.
pass.
But you know what it is?
Yeah.
Then we go back to this. No, testing is racist, and
That's
it's a white
bullshit.
concept,
Well, that's an
That's
right?
bullshit.
And
absurdity.
then you get into this loop, and I'm thinking, are you serious? Are you serious? Is this what you want to do to your kids? Right? Make them dumb that they graduate, they get to high school. The guy that's at the factory says, "Okay, Johnny, get into that, that AI generated this, computer system that's going to produce a widget." Uh,
Right.
and Johnny goes there. No, I don't know. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't read. Okay, you're fired. Get out of here.
Right.
Right?
But that's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying. The utopia that I said earlier, if AI was running the world, then you still need teachers to teach children to read, unless every kid gets on this little headset with AI
yeah,
talking to it and
you
going,
can do it
okay,
with AI.
Oh
You can
boy,
do it with
well,
yeah.
AI. There's
Then
no
you have
problem
to
with
teach
that.
the kids. Yeah. I mean,
As long as we
if
got a good
you're
AI
going to give every
system.
kid its
Yeah,
own how, and
yeah,
every kid is going
well,
to
that's what's
say from
eventually happening. That's like the
and then
norm.
yeah,
but how has to teach them to think and be like a teacher
But
was
who's
back
going to
when we
teach?
were all
But
went to
who's
school.
going to teach? Who's going to teach the teachers? I
How?
mean, who's
No,
guiding the
nobody.
educational mission to
The
say
educational
this is the
system
way
today
you this
sucks.
is the way this is the way you think critically. This
Yeah.
is how you process information. This is how
But
you communicate and articulate that information.
you got to
just need
find a teacher from 1950, 1960s, maybe
you
the
need
early
an
70s.
AI teacher.
That's what you need.
Basically system,
Yeah.
something that just is just teaching. Not a
Well,
general. We'll get
You still
specialized
need
AIs. I'm assuming at some point.
yeah.
yeah,
That
You
yeah.
still need a
Well,
human though, for now.
I
You
will.
still need a human to
Well,
teach
well,
little
but
Johnny or Sally to read.
Well, this is where the best teachers and the best humans
Yeah.
can spread their work
Yeah,
by through technology,
Yeah.
actually share their methodology, their
Yeah.
pedagogy, and do that at scale. So it's
yeah,
almost like the Khan Academy that
Yeah.
teaches that started off with just
right.
math,
Yeah,
Yep.
and it taught math in a much better way. Sal Khan
Yep.
taught math better than anybody else, and now it's spread to other topics, other
Right.
subjects, and now it's one of the leading ways to educate yourself on those topics and when
Yeah.
you're in school.
yeah. No, it's a
So there is a positive path forward. It just seems like it's the narrow
yes.
path forward.
Yeah, there's
Look,
definitely a positive path
yeah.
to all of this.
I think
We just
though,
have to be aware of the pitfalls and try and
yeah.
Well,
mitigate them.
SAT testing is coming back. I want to point out that
Yes.
there were a lot of colleges that did away with the SAT requirement, including MIT, Georgetown, and they quickly brought them back. And a lot of colleges are bringing them back now because there's a direct correlation, obviously, to college success and your standardized test scores.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think we've realized that a lot of people could be graduating with high degrees that are they're not deserving of those degrees,
No,
right?
no.
And then we get these people lecturing us as experts,
Right.
which is
Right.
Clueless. Yeah.
uh,
That's
so
the whole
Everybody's an
internet.
expert now. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
I
We're
think
not.
though the expert is disappearing because
Yeah.
hey, you know what? Let me check
AI.
an AI check
Yeah.
bot here and see really what the reality is. It's so easy to fact check.
Yeah.
Hopefully, well, I mean, with some
Well,
pitfalls,
that's if you
right?
trust the AI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to trust the AI.
Yeah.
You see,
The good thing is on our show, we're not experts, right? We give you what
No,
we
we
our
are not. Let's
opinion,
be
and
clear.
and for
no,
us, as we tell people, go, why do we do these shows? We got like 30 of them on our channel. Um, People do the show because they get to hang out with their mates for an hour a week and talk about the stuff we would talk about anyway, whether it's on a WhatsApp call or a FaceTime call. This is the
Right.
same thing, right? So we just bring you, if you will, into our living room, and that's it. So these are our opinions. If you don't like it, you go play my favorite game. If you do like it, leave your comments below. You can always become a guest on our show, and you can tell us your opinion. And if you're an expert in
as
AI,
my
we'd love
wife
to hear.
always
Oh,
says,
please,
you know,
yeah. Experts
you're
welcome.
just sitting
Actual
in your
experts
chair there,
welcome.
just spewing.
We're,
Yeah.
I like Ruth's like, John, just go and just, this is an
Yeah,
hour that Ruth
you
doesn't
know
have to be with
nothing.
John.
Shut
She's very
up,
happy.
because you know
Yeah.
nothing.
So, but that's okay. Neither does anybody on television that's an expert, or the guys who have their own talk show. They don't know crap either. They're doing the
Right.
same thing we are. It's just that we're
Yeah.
not famous. So we only have, 75,000 people that watch us, where they have 7 million. That's the only difference. But we say the
Yeah.
same crap they do. It's just our opinion. So there you go.
so
All right.
get
So
so
let's
get us
go.
to 7 million, folks.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Come on. Do your job, people. Start spreading the news. Anyway, let's go to Lost and Found. What do you think?
Let's do it. Let's
All
do
right.
it.
All right.
Welcome to this week's Lost and Found, uncovering dollar winners and losers, where we discuss dollars lost and dollars gained by various companies and projects.
Hey, we're back. All right. So before the show, just to let you know, John, before you got to the green room, I went
Yeah.
through about 4 or 5 things I have. So all of mine are very quick, and they're all losses. So
You got
I'm
to
just
do it.
going
You got to do it. Yeah, you'll do a group.
I'm going to
of
throw
them.
mine out really quick, and then you guys will do yours
Well, wait.
last, because
Before I
mine are
do
just
mine,
really.
because just in case you get mine, I don't want to be
All
left.
right, go ahead. Give me what yours is, John. Yeah,
Go
because
ahead.
I got 5. So go
You
ahead,
got-
John.
you
What's
got
your lost
one.
and found?
So my favorite, enemy, China.
Oh yeah,
The Ministry of Communications has just issued, a directive to all, Chinese companies that they
right,
have to, by 2027,
right.
eliminate all American-made chips in their
Oh, I saw
systems.
that.
Oh
Yeah,
wow!
yeah,
That
Wow!
is a huge loss, for AMD and Intel.
Wow!
As
yep,
it's a quarter of their business is in China.
Yeah.
yep.
Uh, so
I mean,
that's like,
that's
but
a harbinger of worse.
you know,
Yeah,
we 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 were lured into the siren of this is $1 billion, a
yeah.
billion people market. We're gonna make shitloads of money, and what did we do? We just
Gave them our technology.
that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you reap what you sow, and
Yep.
these boys, and we're all gonna be losers in a way because
Oh yeah, that's not going to be a fun battle.
yeah, no,
No, and
Yeah.
it's a battle we'll probably lose, but
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
We'll
yeah, because
see.
we're all
So
dumb now.
We'll
yeah,
see.
well, as you
Well,
said,
we're not
people are
that
getting.
dumb. We're not
No.
that dumb because
Yeah.
scientists at Oxford University have actually created blind quantum computing. So
Wow.
blind
What?
quantum computing is a way to actually very securely and at scale protect the privacy of data in quantum computing. So you
Oh,
have
Very
cool.
nice.
you have all these quantum computers all over the place. Google, Amazon, IBM, they do different elements of quantum computing, and now you can connect them all using this process, this blind quantum computing, to verify the authenticity of this information and keep everything secure and private, which was a big fear in
Yes.
dealing with quantum computing workloads
Yeah.
as this thing was being developed. They were saying, how could you possibly secure something that is so ephemeral in its own way? But now they've done it.
Cool.
Very cool. I like
That's a
those
win.
stories. There's a
That's
win.
a
All right,
win.
so we have a
We have
China chip
one win.
story. And
That
so
is
for
a good
China,
win.
it's a win. For the U.S., not so much. And we have blind quantum computing for Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles fans. It's a win. So that's a good
That's
thing.
right. That's right.
So, and then here are the 4 stories that I saw this week that I thought were very interesting. Elon Musk and the Brazilian government are going head to head over X because they are censoring what people can say on X in Brazil. And the Brazilian government's like, no. So either X is going to go bye-bye or they got to get rid of the censoring. So you can't say anything bad about Elon or anything if they censor you. So that was an interesting story. In Ecuador, they stormed the Mexico embassy to get the ex-Ecuadorian president. It's the first time since, I think, in 1978 that a sovereign has stormed an embassy. The last time, I think, was in the United Kingdom when somebody killed a police officer and they went to go get him. And in Wharton, the business school, donations from their boosters are dropping because of anti-Semitism, because of this little skirmish that's happening over in the Middle East. Arizona, those people that are kind of clueless, they turned back a law to 1864, which is the abortion law. So their abortion law now goes back to the law of 1864. Before they were a state, Arizona became a state in 1912. So Arizona now is basically going back before electricity, before cars, and before phones, and saying, this is how we do it. My thing to the state of Arizona is, hey, that's great. Good for you. But since there's no more abortions, who's going to take care of the kids when nobody wants them? Do you have a school? Are you, because all the Christians now, are you taking care of the kids?
No,
probably
just say
not, because you're
no.
all a lot of talk.
Just
So,
say
yeah.
no.
Yeah, well, no. My point is, if God forbid you're raped, they're saying you can't even get an abortion. And if the girl's young or the girl doesn't want it, who's going to take care of the kid? A church? No. Anybody else? No. The state? Definitely not. So before you start passing laws that you have no clue of how they're going to affect people, just say after your stupidity, 18 years down the road, why don't you think through it? Yeah, what do I know? I'm not on the Supreme Court of Arizona. Morons. The Olympics. This is my favorite one. Starting this year, is going to pay every gold medalist in certain sports $50,000. If you become a gold medalist, they put $2.4 million aside to pay. If you're an Olympian, you get $50,000 now if you get a gold medal.
Isn't the medal enough? Isn't the medal enough? What happened?
Apparently now, because we're in a society where everybody's me, and it all kind of went downhill when we let the NBA guys start playing in the Olympics, as amateurs, if you will.
Yeah.
That's kind of, if this is that which is great to watch them play, but it also opened the door to, now I want to be paid. So in the Summer Olympics coming up, you get $50,000 if you are a gold medal. If you're a gold medal person. So congratulations to you. You don't get to go in the Wheaties box now. You just get 50 grand. So
well, that's a whirlwind of stories. I want to point out one thing about the Brazil story with X.
Yeah.
There's a little clarification to that. This guy, this Supreme Court Justice, Alexander de Moraes, he's been doing this crackdown for a long time.
Right.
And he's been, through his dictates, has been shutting down critics and ensuring that his ideas get out there. So it was this one judge, who threatened arrest of ex-employees and fines if X didn't shut down certain accounts in Brazil. And X is saying, how can you force us to do this? How can you threaten us to do this? And it could jeopardize the operation in Brazil because this guy is
he's out of control.
Crackdown.
Yeah.
He's out of control.
What's interesting though is in
Supreme
America
Court
it's
Justice
reversed.
too.
What, John?
In America it's reversed.
In America it's reversed.
Yeah.
He's a Supreme Court justice, and he's also on some other judicial panel. And Lula supports him, but he's like a mini dictator.
Yeah.
Just censoring. He doesn't like the criticism. He's just.
Oh yeah, he went after Telegram and Google.
Yeah.
But what's interesting though, in America, X censors in the other way. If Elon doesn't like what you're saying about certain things, you don't get on. But when you spew bullshit about whether it's COVID or they've censored. That was their big problem when COVID's in with Trump.
Censoring anymore. I don't think X is censoring in the
I'm not a fan of them. I'm not a fan of the guy.
Yeah, no, I know. We know you're not.
We're not. Well,
it's kind of like that has a lot to do with it. So anything, I don't know. I just don't think he thinks through what he says and does. And some of the stuff, and we talked about it, if you did this 20 years ago, you'd go to jail or you'd be in court with the SEC half the time.
But the old Twitter, had embedded government officials censoring shit. Don't tell me that
Yeah,
the,
that's proven. That's proven.
Yeah.
the Twitter
That's okay.
files prove this
The
shit.
Twitter files were real. Yeah.
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 The,
The
the
Twitter files are
you
real.
know
We're
the
gonna
funny
do a
thing
whole show.
about X or Twitter is how
Yeah.
many employees did it have before?
15,000, I think, and he got rid of
Yeah.
half.
No, he chopped 70% of it. The
Yeah,
damn thing was just a bloated piece of crap. Now
Yeah, he
actually,
cut 80% of the workforce.
I mean,
yeah,
like most of his companies. Okay, got it. All right, I got it. We're gonna blow a piece of
but
crap. I understand.
yeah, I don't think the censorship is, if there's any, is anything close to what it was before.
Right.
Right.
I'm doing this just to say once again before we leave. Sound
Yes.
Pete's, thank you very much. Our sponsor.
Thank
These
you,
are really
Sound
great.
Pete.
We'll be displaying these all month on all our shows, so you can go on Amazon and buy them. So we wanted to say thank you to everybody
So
for that.
take us home, Stephen.
I'm going to take us home. Everybody, don't forget to subscribe and like. Our podcast is on Two Old Farts Making Noises, wherever you get your podcasts. That would be Google, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, you name it, we're there. You can look at our pretty faces here on YouTube every Saturday morning. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and we will see you next Saturday. If you want to be a guest on the show, reach out to us. If you don't want to be a guest on the show, it's okay too. We'll see you guys all next week. Cheers, everybody.